Rice in a mash bill?
Fermentation? 3 days? 5 days? What's going on here?
It's Jim Beam, but not in the way you'd expect. What started as my dad's whiskey hobby is now something that we all get to share.
Welcome to Whiskey for the Ages. I'm Brian, here with Hannah and Alora.
Hi guys! Tonight's bottle is a listener's pick, chosen by you and explored around our family table. There's something different about pouring a bottle someone else chose, and we're really excited to see what you guys chose for us to review.
And as always, we receive no compensation from any distillery, brand, or retailer we talk about. We are not sponsored.
You know, as this show continues to develop, we're grateful that you're growing with us.
Absolutely. We really appreciate you coming along on this journey, and we're just getting started.
That's
too.
right.
All right. A week ago, we posted polls on our Facebook and LinkedIn groups, handing you the reins. Tonight's review show is entirely your call. Our lineup? Well, the poll was for Blood Oath Pact 11, a tequila barrel experiment, High West, a Midwinter Night's Dram, Act 13, Little Book, Chapter 9, None for Granted, a high-proof powerhouse, and Lux Row, Pedro Jimenez Sherry Cask Bourbon, a sherry cask value standout.
In the end, the community chose legacy, proof, and blending craft over finishing theatrics, finishing a distant second with just under 24% of the vote, Blood Oath Pact 11. And your winner, capturing nearly 51%, drumroll please, Little Book, Chapter 9.
I mean, we really weren't that surprised. It became pretty evident early on in our poll that this was how this was going to go. As I said in our last episode, I was going to be happy with whatever you all chose for us to review. So thank you for choosing this one. It did make us curious though. So what made Chapter 9 resonate so strongly with you guys? Or was it just the fact that it was Little Book in general? Was it the proof point? Was it the price point? We're just curious. How did y'all make that decision? You got to let us know. Over 80% of the votes came from Facebook. Over there, that's our most local audience. But LinkedIn, with its broader reach, still leaned in the same direction. So really interesting. And so tonight we're going to open Little Book Chapter 9. This is None for Granted.
And before we get into the numbers about this whiskey, we should acknowledge the hands behind this bottle. There are a few names in American whiskey that carry this continuity. 8 generations of the Beam family have passed their craft from one on to the next. Through decades of challenge, including Prohibition, the family preserved their knowledge and barrels, keeping the distillery alive for the next generation. Booker No, the 6th generation master distiller, brought a philosophy of proof and purity. Barrel proof, uncut, unfiltered, no fancy finishes. Just honesty in a glass. He trusted the drinker to understand. Within the family, in bourbon circles, he was simply known as Book. Grandson Freddie No didn't repeat what Booker started, but he did expand on his foundation. He blends mash bills. He experiments with grain variation. He stretches fermentation. He's crafting something new. Booker was all about purity and proof. Freddie is all about composition. Little Book brand honors Freddie's grandfather Booker for sure, and it's Freddie's personal background, small, experimental, and all about blending craft to build each release. He's played with all of this in his own sandbox, if you will, exploring flavor, proof, and innovation.
That's quite a story. All right, already. Let's pour and talk about what's actually in this glass. Does it live up to the name? We'll find out.
Well, okay, Little Book Chapter 9. It's a 2025 limited release produced by 8th generation master distiller Freddie No. Our bottle has been opened and Hannah's been portioning out our Glencairns, so let's talk about what's actually in them. Category is a Kentucky bourbon and rye blend. Unlike Booker's, which is batch based, Little Book is blended each year to hit a specific conceptual profile. This blend is made from 5 Kentucky straight whiskeys, 4 bourbons, and 1 rye. One of the bourbons is an 11-year-old, another one is an 8-year-old bourbon, and there are 2 7-year-old bourbons mixed in, and then of course this 8-year-old rye. Now, one of the bourbon components underwent an extended 5-day fermentation. I bring that out because the normal here is 3 days of fermentation. Longer fermentation tends to enhance fruit-forward aromatics. Another bourbon uses a brown rice mash bill. Now, I don't think I've ever had a bourbon with rice in the mash, but this was something that Booker himself had done and played with a little bit. Rice in the mash bill is said to add notes of butterscotch and stone fruit.
I can see that.
Beam has not disclosed which of the components had those. So it could have been the 11-year, it could have been the 7-year, shoot, it could have even been the 8-year-old rye. The ABV on this guy, 60.9% or 121.8 proof. Filtration, uncut and unfiltered, and it's put in a 750 milliliter bottle. High proof, no dilution, and no filtration. Suggested retail on this guy is about $160, and one might still see it on some store shelves around the country in the $180 range, or secondary pricing in the low 200s. Here in Idaho, we did pay that $160 price. Little Book is released annually in allocation waves. It is widely distributed, but still with some limited availability. Unlike Jim Beam does for the other Booker's releases, they do not publicly disclose any mash bill percentages, any barrel char levels, rickhouse locations, or precise aging down to months and days. But the blueprint here is clear: 5 whiskeys, 7 to 11 years old, high proof, uncut and unfiltered, as I said, and blended intentionally for structure and balance rather than secondary finishing. Now, girls have been nosing. They've been writing notes. Let's see what they think. First impressions?
Okay, I was kind of all over the board with this. Whenever I think of Booker's or any sort of variation off of the Booker brand, I think that there's a little bit of a funk. Typically I smell and even taste peanutty elements, and I think that's why Dad really likes Booker's. So on that note, I did get some nuts, like candied pecans. I got sweetened peanut butter, which if you do combine that with chocolate, it's great. Comes in those really popular cups that we all seem to really, really like. I also wrote down toffee, Rainier cherries, and the cinnamon gummy candies, which I've recently learned have been pretty controversial. People either love them or they hate them. And then also nutmeg and white pepper. That's so far what I've gotten. How about you guys?
This is one of the few cases where I think I agree. I'm not saying I agree with Alora. She looked at me in with expectation, and that's not what I'm saying. But agree with what the distillery themselves is putting out there for options on what to get with the smell. Now, I don't get a ton of the stone fruit variety. I do get like a fig Newton buried in there a little bit, but more than anything, I'm getting a lot of sugary notes. I'm getting simple syrup, but I'm also getting caramel. I'm getting butterscotch. I'm getting some cinnamon. I do get a little bit of spiced apples. This is also really buried in there, just like the fig Newton, and it's pretty mild. I wouldn't say it's very apple-y forward. This would be like
an apple crumble?
No, maybe more like a cheap apple pie that you'd get from a store. Not saying those are bad, but that's the level of spiced apple intensity that I'm talking about here. I do think there's some black pepper going on. I don't know if I've already mentioned cinnamon, but there is cinnamon there. Grain, I think the grains are really forward here. And at first when I was nosing this, I didn't really find it to be particularly alcoholic. It felt really mild on the nose, but now that it's been in the glass for a little bit longer, it is starting to bloom a little bit more, and there is a little stinging sensation going on those nose hairs, but it's still nowhere near what I would picture a 121.8 proof whiskey to be. It's still very approachable, in my opinion.
So you guys picked out a lot of the same things I did, but my first reaction when I brought it to my nose, granted I'd been talking, wow, this is surprising. It didn't hit me the same way that other whiskeys have hit me. Yeah, there's definitely bourbon here, but it's dark. For me, dark and nutty. Laura, you mentioned cinnamon. I got that cinnamon.
Yeah.
Dark
We both
fruit.
mentioned cinnamon.
Yeah, you said no stone fruit. I'm not sure what kind of dark fruit. I did write down fig, but I was writing it down as you were saying it, and that reinforced me to say it. But I did get the caramel, but I also got kind of a baked applesauce note.
So that's kind of where you and I are similar with the spiced apples, cheap pie. Applesauce is an approachable, mild apple flavor.
And you're saying that it's kind of growing singeing on the nose hairs? No, I'm not getting that at all. I've been taking deep inhales.
Yeah, but you haven't been nosing it and agitating the glass as much as Alora
and that's true. And that's what I was just going to do next, to take my glass and give it a great swirl and see what happens. You guys, has the aroma changed since you started?
I think it's way more forward on the gummy cinnamon candies. Like, it's a lot sweeter. I'm getting, like, powdered sugar combined with that cinnamon.
You know, I did kind of think at one point powdered sugar, but I was like, is that too much? But now that you've said it and reinforced a thought I had earlier, I'll write it down myself.
Maybe a powdered sugar frosting.
Yeah.
Like you mix water or milk and brown sugar.
Oh yeah.
Milk and sugar together, and then you kind of put a little vanilla in with it and sprinkle it on top of something. Maybe.
Shout out to one of our aunts, but she makes a batch of gingerbread cookies with that powdered white sugar frosting, and that's what I'm getting with this. So, shout out.
A little bit. I think that overall, I'd say this has become almost more and more familiar to me. I can't say what I've had that's also smelled like this, but this is a very classic bourbon smell overall.
I like it.
Yeah, it's a nice smell.
As I swirl it and then bring it to my nose after it's been opened like this, I'm getting the singe now.
Yeah.
If I inhale deeply, my eyes will water a little bit.
Yeah.
But it stays dark.
Yeah.
To me, this really stays dark.
Do you guys think that there's some sort of ginger element with this?
There could be. There could be.
Yeah.
Like gingerbread cookies? I'm still on that funk, but...
I don't know if I can go that far. I really don't. I mean, the closest that I can get to a baked element would be more with the Fig Newton pastry casing or whatever type of cookie casing that is. It's really gentle, and it's just more of like a sugary, vanilla-y, mild cookie.
Maybe that Fig Newton with a drizzle of frosting.
I would never do that to a Fig Newton.
Yeah,
I'm kind of a purist with those, but I like Fig Newtons.
I don't. I'm just going to be plain and simple. I don't.
Well, before we move on to the taste, let's take a quick step back here. A Little Book is Freddie No's annual experimental release, like I mentioned earlier. He's always blending something. It was first launched back in 2017. It's become one of the most anticipated annual releases in the Beam portfolio. Unlike Booker's, the legacy bourbon being carried on by Fred No, his dad and seventh generation master distiller, which puts a focus on a single mash bill, Little Book allows Freddie to blend across several mash bills and ages. It allows him to create something specific and different each year. It's not really about an individual barrel at all. It's about blending and composition. And here in the United States, I don't think there's a lot of blended whiskeys that are out there that are mainstream.
At least none operating at this level of acclaim.
True. Maybe that
Because High West has one. That's a
the
blend.
Blue Rye.
Yeah.
The Blue Rye.
And I think even the Campfire is also a blend.
Could be. And maybe their Midwinter Night's Dram, they're blending some of their own stuff and they're blending some of the stuff from MGP. So there are some blends, but it's not really known that well. Freddie has said, Little Book Chapter 9, None for Granted, was made to intentionally return to a foundational American whiskey character. Those vanilla notes, those caramel notes, and the oakiness. Certainly, we've all said those things about this blend.
But if you tuned into that interview that we did with John Angus,
Yes.
he ended up saying you usually get vanilla, caramel, and oak in all the bourbons that you get. So what exactly differentiates this compared to all of the other bourbons which have these characteristic flavors?
We're going to find out. So there's certainly experimentation going on here. Brown rice mash bills, extended fermentation. These are techniques that are honoring the past while exploring the edges of whiskey production. While Little Book is an experimental series, 8 generations of beam distilling, but with a blend reflecting on history and evolution. Now, I'm anxious. Let's see how this is going to translate into the glass. Let's take a sip. I know you probably already have.
I did.
So I'm going to take my time now and sip while you guys thrash this out.
This is hard. I will say the first thing that came to mind as I had my first sip was that's a Jim Beam product. That was really, really evident. However, not necessarily in the way that I think I was expecting. Yes, there's nuttiness here. I'd say it's a really bright nuttiness. I don't know how to pin that down to a specific nut. I'm still kind of working on that. But it's a bright nuttiness. And it's really fresh. And it's kind of shocking me how fresh it is. There's almost a minty quality to it, in my opinion. I'm not one to have a whole lot of whiskey-based cocktails. I usually will have my whiskey neat. That being said, I have had a whiskey mint julep. This is sort of reminiscent to that, but obviously without any of the other add-ons to make it a whiskey mint julep. It's just really fresh, really bright. I mean, I that's just my first sip. It threw me off in a way I wasn't prepared for, and I had to kind of sit and think for a little while. So I'm going to go in for my second sip. Alora, what are your thoughts?
I have to agree with Hannah. It's very Jim Beam forward. I get that nuttiness, no problem. And I'm even going to go so far as to identify what I'm getting with that. I'm getting more peanut butter, like a peanut butter frosting.
That's too heavy. I think that's too heavy.
But if you think about one of those, I don't know if you guys have had these. What are they called? Like the Buckeyes? They're the peanut butter ball that's kind of dipped in chocolate. And that's kind of like what I'm getting. Another weird one.
Not getting that at all.
Not at all. Not even
This
close.
isn't the first time that we've disagreed with each other. So I will also say, and feel free to disagree with me on this, but I also get orange peel. That's kind of...
I get a little citrus.
Yeah, I can go there. I mean, yeah.
And that's kind of what's giving me the fresh element. I don't know if I'm really getting mint, but I am getting like that citrus.
I don't know if I'd say orange. I could maybe be convinced to go like a lemon zest.
And I couldn't. It's too orange flavored for me. But again, we've disagreed on these kinds of things before. If you've read any of our reviews, you know just how off the spectrum we are from one another.
That's very true. I am getting like a little bit of green apples now, which I'm surprised.
Well, I'm gonna say it's that baked out in the apple.
I don't think so. I think it's a raw green apple. Bite into it, feel that crunch.
Wow. That's too fresh for me.
How about any pastries? Like just the pastry dough, like from a pie. Do you get that?
I'm not.
No.
I'm not getting that for me.
I've lost the baked element completely.
Wow. And that's, maybe it's in my brain.
I think it's sometimes a lot. I think there's a lot to say for what we want to get out of a bourbon whenever we're drinking it, or just like a whiskey in general. Because if we have an idea of what we want to drink, sometimes we get that flavor, but it's not initially there. Like for me, I'm really wanting that peanut butter frosting, but then you guys aren't getting it at all.
Not at
and
all.
I'm trying to get the apple one, but I can't really get it.
My first sip, I immediately wrote down, "Hello, darkness, my old friend."
Oh gosh.
Oh God.
It is. I'm sensing darkness. I hold my
I just don't
bourbons
get
and
that.
liquors in my mouth, and while it's not necessarily easy to hold, it can be held at length, but then the tongue starts to spark, and it requires a swallow. And as soon as it does, it just warms the back of the throat.
I agree that it's warming. I don't think it's dark. I think it's more on the brighter side of things.
Do you think it needs some water?
No.
No,
I don't.
I'm fine.
Good. I don't think so either.
And it
Sometimes-
doesn't drink hot either.
No.
It's approachable.
Sometimes people will want to put in water, and that's completely up to them. We typically like to drink it neat. What was the proof on this one more time?
121.8.
Yeah, it just does not drink like that. But we've had Elijah Craig's where I'm like, put water in it because I can't get anything other than heat. It does not drink like 121.8. It drinks like 100.
We've said before that Booker's products or Jim Beam products drink below their proof, or we don't get that. Most Booker's 122, 123, 125, some 128. I don't get the heat from those that they're touting at that proof. This is certainly warming, but so good.
Yeah.
I like it.
I know our theme this season has very much been on the wheat side of things, but I think the rye in this has a lot of influence.
Yeah.
And not in a peppery sense like we've talked about in our previous season, which focused more on rye, but really in that freshness.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's
There
kind of like
you
a
go.
fennel sort of thing.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, because I don't like fennel, but I really like this. But
Yeah.
there is a minty freshness.
It would be interesting to have rye bread with this.
Yeah.
It would be interesting. So, I don't know. Maybe that's something I'll try in the future.
What about balance here? I'm thinking that I'm having a hard time of distinguishing individual flavors here.
It is hard, which in my book means it has a really great balance.
And I'm right there with you.
I have to agree. I think that it's really, really sweet. I'm having a hard time identifying whether it is a dark kind of sweet, an earthy kind of sweet, or just sugary. Or fruity. I'm having a hard. I just think that it's sweet. I just think it's a characteristic great bourbon. Dare I say it's great before we've really done a whole lot of reviews on this.
Yeah. I don't know that I would say that it's oily. I'm trying to figure out a texture here. It's not sharp. It's warming. I just have that darkness in I get barrel char here.
I get carbonation.
The farthest I can really go is like have some caramel in there, but I'll write that down. I wouldn't say it's sharp, but I would say as far as texture goes, it feels kind of edgy.
Okay.
Yeah.
It feels like
it wants to
like
rough
it wants
you.
to,
Yeah.
but it's also not going to.
Yeah.
It's just sort of like I could mess with you, but I'm gonna be the bigger person and not do that.
Yeah. I think
That's how this
that-
feels on the palate.
I think that I get that sort of oily feel with this. I don't think it's as thin as a water sort of texture. I think
Not
that
at
there's
all.
a little bit
Not
of
at all.
thickness in it. And like Hannah said, it's hotter, but it's not hot. It's not overwhelming. It's just, hey, respect me. Don't drink me too fast or I will give you a Kentucky hug. But if you respect the drink and you're just sipping it, it's okay. Genuinely.
You know, I like what you said about the texture and it's edgy because it's got a little bit of flair to it.
Yeah.
Like,
But it's like a flamboyant, playful flair, not actually aggressive.
yeah, I agree.
It's a well-meaning, a good intention sort of
As
edge.
far as color here, I'm going to throw out that it looks kind of carrot-like, maybe. Maybe
kinda
some
more-
tawny.
For once, I'm
It's-
in agreement with you. I'd say tawny.
It's not overly dark. Maybe there's not that much 11-year-old in this.
I don't think, could be tawny, could be carrot.
Are
yeah.
we actually all in agreement?
For once. Now, those color references that we are alluding to, those can be found on our Whiskey Traits and Flavor Wheel. That's a free downloadable PDF on our website, just Whiskey for the Ages. You can get that and experiment with how to taste all of these different flavors that we're talking about or aromas that we're talking about on the nose. Play around with it and see how it helps. Can help hone your palate a little bit.
You can also see the color on it too.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, so we've covered entry, our aromas, and we've kind of developed on our tongues and some structure. Let's step sideways. I mentioned earlier one of the bourbons uses brown rice in the mash bill. Something Beam has experimented with before. It rarely deploys it. I mean, we don't see it on any kind of scale. I can't think of a Jim Beam product that has said, hey, this has got a rice in the mash bill.
No, I
I
can't
can't think
either.
of it. I can't really think of a bourbon that has rice in the mash
Yeah.
bill.
The brown rice that's being used here is said to kind of soften the mid palate, soften the spiciness of this. Maybe that's what's going on here.
It's like a extra soft, like what wheat does typically.
Maybe.
Although,
Maybe.
I don't know. It's kind of dependent on what you get.
It's said that this rice can round the grain edges without making the whiskey dull. You said grain, that you had tasted some grain in this,
Oh,
Hannah.
my nose.
Or on your nose?
Yep.
I'm not really detecting any kind of grain here, although we know that if it's a bourbon, it's probably going to have, aside from this rice, it's going to have corn, it's going to have rye, it's going to have barley. And of course, rye is going to have rye and corn. But individual notes, I'm not really getting anything that I would say. Yes, it's fresh. I get that. I'll give you that, Hannah. And maybe that is that rye component.
I actually think it's more like rye bread now that we've been discussing how rye forward it is. And I think, I'm not the biggest fan of fennel either, but there is a freshness to fennel. It's like a
Yeah, there
fruity
is.
anise sort of, or anise, depending on where you are in the world, how you pronounce it. But I think that I'm really, really intrigued. Maybe I should do like a rye bread with this, because this is, I'm very curious.
So, like all little book releases, and the high-end Booker's products, they're uncut and unfiltered, meaning that the blend isn't proofed down or chill filtered after it's composed. What makes this philosophy interesting is None for Granted relies on blending, not finishing. We're not putting it in a secondary barrel. We're not mixing it with sherry casks or anything like that. No secondary barrels, no wine casting influence. The complexity is coming from the variation in the many mash bills that we got here, the aging, the fermentation choices. And of course, we don't know what the proportions of each whiskey, but looking at it in the glass, I don't think there's a whole lot of 11-year-old in this.
And I think there's probably more of the rye
Than we think.
than anything.
Yeah. This is American blending, but executed at really high proof. This is well blended. Freddie said that Little Book Chapter 9 has returned to that classic bourbon fundamentals. You know, like Lori said, it's structured forward. But I think this is built for experienced drinkers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't put this in front of a novice or somebody who's not going to appreciate
It'd be
what you're
lost
putting
on
in
them.
front. Yeah.
It'd be lost
There's
on
a lot of complexity here. There's a lot of uncommon flavors here. I think you have to know how to drink whiskey in order to enjoy this to the fullest. And maybe I'm not even there yet, and there's a level that I could unlock that would help me enjoy this even more. But I like it as it is, I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
I could see if someone were to say this is too hot for me. I can see that, because if you were to have given this to me probably a year or two ago, I probably would have said it's burning my esophagus. It's burning my mouth. But it's not. And I think, that just comes with experience, so.
All right, let's all take another sip.
Oh, I just swallowed a sip.
How long does it linger in your mouth?
You can't ask me that because I've done like 3 Kentucky Chews.
Okay.
So my opinion's not going to matter there.
All right, Alora?
I just swallowed it. I'd say it's like, there's a sting there, but it's like I don't know, if there was some kind of thing, like a comforting sting, it'd be kind of like this. I think it lingers for a while.
In the throat, though.
Yeah, it
It's
doesn't go
not
all the way
lingering.
And
down
on
to
the
the
sides
chest.
of the tongue, it feels carbonated, like you just drank a soda.
I'm not getting any heat on the front of the tongue.
No, I'm not either. It's all like in the back or on the sides.
It's all on the back and sides, exactly. Which is kind of weird. Usually the tongue is on fire on a high proof whiskey.
Even on 3 Kentucky Chews now, it's still not as aggressive as I thought it would be. Like, I've done 3 back to back to back, and you get a little bit of zinginess going on, but it's not over the top, and the warmth still doesn't transcend all the way down into the chest.
It doesn't.
But that being said, a little bit ago, it did try to hug me.
Well, you did 3 Kentucky Chews. What do you think was going to happen?
The thing was, it was like, it just said, hey, I could. It wasn't like I actually felt like I was...
It smiled at you.
Yeah.
You want to try me?
I gave it a cheeky wink. But the Kentucky Chew has been really, really interesting, and how that's played with the finishes and with the other flavors that you can get out of this. I got a new flavor.
Oh,
Yeah?
And it's a really, really fun flavor that I've never had before. And I've never had it in real life either, but I can only assume that this is how it would be. If you took strawberries and soaked them overnight in whiskey,
Ooh.
I think this would happen.
Do that in a cobbler, Dad, on the Traeger.
I think that flavor, I think that it's in here. And I'm getting a little bit more baked apples when I try to do the Kentucky Chew, but still that minty freshness is there.
I did the Kentucky Chew, but I forced it to stay at the front of the tongue, and now my tongue is just going like Pop Rocks. and I'm not saying it tastes like Pop Rocks, but it has that popping that's on the tongue, and it does bring out the sweetness when you do that, when you force it to the front, which is where your sweet receptors are.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool.
Yeah, there's science in this glass. I feel like this glass is very scientific and very precise.
Mm-hmm.
It's what a blend.
Yeah.
What a blend. Is it dry? No.
Oh, okay, I'm actually going to throw something with that dryness. I feel like it wants to dry my mouth. And the reason why I say this is because I feel it so much on the sides of my tongue that, like, the sides of the tongue are responsible for saltiness. And there's a saltiness in here. It feels like it's trying to dry me out with the saltiness in this.
And I kind of sort of agree. I think there is a dryness here, like what you'd get in a dry white wine.
Yeah.
Like,
Maybe.
when it's gone, there's a different level that
Yeah.
blooms, but it's still, fresh.
Like a dry Sauvignon Blanc.
Yeah. As I sip this, and as I did the Kentucky Chew, and I kept it to the front, frankly, I would rather have it sipped and just go to the back. Because when I have it on the front, it beats the front of the tongue up too much. And just naturally enjoying it, I think it's doing itself a service by letting it coat and slide down the back of the throat nice and easy.
I just wrote down that it's like a spicy Pinot Grigio.
All right, I'm going to have the girls step in and do their thing here now. We're going to do some fun stuff. Laura, have you been thinking about what you're listening to when you're enjoying this?
A bit. A tiny bit. And I'm surprised at how quick I came to the conclusion as I saw the prompt. And I was like, oh crap, I need to think about this. I usually do a popular song, not pop necessarily, just a popular one that everyone knows or everyone should know. And then I also do kind of like an instrumental classical one because I like both. For the popular one, I know I've put a lot of Coldplay influence in all the reviews that I've done, written and podcast reviews. But I'm going to say for the popular song, it is Coldplay's A Sky Full of Stars. It's kind of like an inspiring sort of popish. I'm getting a lot of star over there. There's a star over there. There's a star over there.
I feel like you've had that one before.
No, I've had Sparks and I've had Yellow. I don't think I've had anything else. But I won't be surprised if I have. And then for a classical one, I'm actually going to go a little bit more modern with this one. I don't think these two have heard it. Well, they have. It's just they don't know the name of it. It's Ludovico Einaudi's Experience.
Who?
Ludovico Einaudi. He's a pianist and a composer. He sometimes will do string arrangements of his songs, and it's a gorgeous song. You guys should listen to it. Ludovico Einaudi's Experience. It's a really, really beautiful soundtrack, and it just develops and develops and develops on a theme. And it kind of crescendos into this bright light of sorts.
We'll be sure to put links to those songs up on our website. They'll come up on our citations page for this particular episode so that you guys can listen to those pieces. I certainly am going to.
Yeah.
I want to hear it. Do they make you think?
Yeah.
Because this particular whiskey is making me think.
Yeah, and I think you're just constantly searching for more flavors with this, which is a very, very fun thing to do with whiskey. For me, a good balanced whiskey is kind of like I'm going on a scavenger hunt and I don't know when the amount of items are going to stop that I'm able to get. And it just keeps developing and developing. So that's kind of why I'm leaning towards that Experience song, because it takes one theme where, if you were to compare it with this whiskey, okay, I'm getting peanuts, and it just develops it into something fruity, into something sugary, into something baked. It just keeps developing and developing and developing. So it's, yeah.
Hannah, where are you drinking this?
I didn't have it in my mind to think about it all until I said that this is a scientific bourbon or a scientific whiskey, and then it came to me immediately after I said that. This is something that, and I can say experience because I'm a lab rat by nature, this is something that I'd want to have accompanying me if I'm looking over lab results, or I'm in like a lab setting, or I'm looking at a bunch of data and I'm trying to piece something together. Like this just cuts through the minutia and the confusion of whatever it is that you're analyzing in a lab or in a difficult office situation, and it's just clean, it's sharp and refreshing, and it reorients very, very well. So I think I'm going to have to go with a lab setting. Now, of course, I'll add in the caveat, please don't bring whiskey into labs. That is a bad idea. There are many flammable things in labs. There are many sensitive things in labs that alcohol should not be with. I'm talking in a purely hypothetical situation.
So you've just removed the lab coat and you've stepped outside
Yes.
the door.
And I've taken it to like my private office.
There you go.
And
Which is right outside the lab.
Which is right outside the lab, but I'm not in the lab, but like I'm lab adjacent. How about that? I'm lab adjacent having this. That's where my setting is for sure.
Well, that's nice. I think that's kind of fun.
I can tell you that it definitely would be.
All right, here's a tough question for you two. Is it worth $160?
Yep.
I'm going to say yes, which is very surprising for me considering the financial anxiety I have from my college days. So yes, I would get this for $160. I'd probably even get it for $180.
I tell you
$190
what,
is pushing it.
if I saw a bottle on a shelf today, going out anywhere in the world, and I saw it for $200, it's a no-brainer for me. I would do secondary on this.
Wow.
And I don't do secondary.
No.
But I would love to have another one of these bottles.
Yeah.
Same.
That's me going out on a limb. But this is spectacular.
This is
I really like it.
really, really unique as well. Like this, the whole draw of Little Book is to be innovative, to try new things, and to push the envelope a little bit with what whiskey can do at a really high level. This met the brief, understood the assignment, did exactly what it was meant to do. And if you're looking for something that is going to be unique, that isn't going to be like anything you have in your bunker, it's well worth it. It is well worth it.
So being that we're all agreeing that it's worth the price, I'm going to throw this out there. I didn't ask the girls to rate this, but I'm going to rate this.
I'm working on
I'm working
calculating
on
my
it.
rating.
You
They're
get
doing-
started, I'll catch up.
That's
They're
right.
doing their math. They're doing their maths.
Yes.
Yeah.
So on our website, there's a link that says whiskey sorted by. And what we do is we look at our whiskey sorted by page. And I have my ratings. And I've got ratings from 95 and down. I've never rated anything higher than a 95. I'm putting this at 95.
Oh, shoot.
Now, I have one other bourbon at 95.
That's insane.
And
This is the highest he's ever gone, guys.
it's Booker's 2022-01 Ronnie's batch. That was, until this day, my favorite bourbon, my favorite whiskey. Directly below that, I've got 3 at the 94 tier. Booker's 2021-03, the Bardstown batch. The Booker's 2104, the No Strangers batch, and the Stag batch 13. I mean, I am totally impressed by this whiskey.
I got my
I'm
rating.
loving it.
Yeah, I've got my rating as well. Laura, I'll let you go first.
91.
That's pretty high for you as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Which,
We're not messing around.
No.
No, it's genuine. It's earned a spot. It's earned a spot comfortably in the 90s for me. And I know I don't have a whole lot of written reviews. It's something I genuinely do want to have more of. I do a lot of my reviews over podcasts, and I'm kind of still all over the board. So, 91, I'm pretty comfortable with that rating.
Well, good for you.
Very, very nice.
What do you got, Anna?
Okay, so I definitely rate things higher than the collective in general. So, of course, I'm also in the 90s. I'm at a 94. I've gone all the way up to a 97 before. I have 96s, I have 95s. 94 is still a very impressive rating. So, within that grouping, I have other Bookers sitting there with it. I've got the Bookers Beaten Biscuits bourbon. That was from 2019. I have 2 bourbons that come from 2021. That would be the Tag-Along batch and the Bardstown batch.
And that was one of mine.
Yep. I have the Larceny Barrel Proof B520. I have Maker's 46 Cask Strength. I have Maker's Mark WftA. To this day, that's still one of my favorite Maker's products. It probably edges out the 46 Cask Strength, to be honest. Michter's Bourbon, Old Ezra's 07-year barrel strength bourbon. I have 2 stags in that grouping as well. Those would be batch 16 and batch 17. And then I also have Wild Turkey Rare Breed bourbon. So those are all, by and large, high proof.
Yes.
Bourbons. So
we like our proof.
We like the proof.
We like our proof.
Quite a lot. This one sits in really good company. Very happy about it. Even if I should say this as well. For the people who know me and my palate very well, I am all about cherry. I'm all about vanilla. I am all about almond. I am all about fruit in general in my whiskeys. Really, there wasn't a heck of a lot here. There was a lot of freshness. There was some talk about some apples, both in the raw and baked varieties, but they were not the star of the show by any means here. This was all about the freshness, the innovation, and the newness of this one. And it still managed to get a 94 out of me. So take that into consideration, my fellow fruit lovers. It's still a worthwhile one, even if you're like me, who loves the fruit.
So I got a little twist, something I've never asked you guys before. Where's this going to live in the bunker? Is this going to be an allocated anchor? Is it going to sit on our shelf for a while, keeping us knowing it's there?
I'm going to hide it from Alora.
Hey! I want some of it too.
No. The thing is, I'm going to hide it from you and then try to avoid thinking about it myself so that it's
lame.
Out of sight, out of mind from everybody, and it can be a pleasant surprise when we remember in a few months that we still have some. That would be, in my mind, where I'd put it.
So it's kind of a celebration pour then.
I'd say so. I'd
Maybe.
say so. Because bourbon, according to the movie Neat, should be enjoyed, not saved. And maybe that's why Hannah wants to hide it from me, which is really unfair.
Yeah.
Because I'm not the one at fault here. I'm not the bottle killer like Hannah is. I don't kill bottles.
Yes, I get that.
That's true.
I think you should reword it and say you're hiding it from yourself.
Maybe I should just hide it and nobody can find it.
No!
So I don't think I want to pull this out and try to impress guests, because I'm not sure guests would appreciate this. Maybe a handful of people we know would appreciate this.
Handful being the key
Yeah.
word.
It's like I mentioned earlier, if I saw it again on the shelf, yeah, I'd go for this.
Yeah.
I would go for this.
I'd love to have another in the bunker.
It's a buy it if you see it.
It's definitely not a one and done.
No.
Well, we have just had a serious journey through Little Book Chapter 9. We loved it, so there you go. That's our review. We loved it. And it's time for this fortnight in whiskey. A few news stories that I've thrown out there for us to chew on a little bit. First up, a major acquisition which could reshape the American whiskey landscape. By now, most of you have heard Kirin Holdings is selling the legendary bourbon brand Four Roses to E&J Gallo Winery for as much as $7.75 million. That sale is expected to close here in the second quarter 2026. There are some other things attached to it, possibly a $50 million bump or bonus if they meet certain quotas or what have you. But here's why this kind of matters. The purchase marks a big strategic step for Gallo. And they're historically wine. And more recently, they're doing the RTDs, the ready-to-drink stuff. The purchase is a big move into legacy bourbon. For Kirin, the move is more of a part of portfolio divestiture and realignment. Now, Kirin is a big beer producer in Japan.
Oh, okay.
That's what they're most known for. They've pretty much let Four Roses do their own thing. But now, since they've stepping away from the bourbon line, they've actually decided that they're going to start dabbling in health services. Some of the health, and it's just interesting that they would make that drastic of a move to go from bourbon and alcohol and start going into health. For context here, Four Roses is, everybody knows Four Roses. They've got roots stretching back well into the 19th century. They're known for their openness with their multiple mash bills and proprietary yeast strains. When we talk yeast strains, they label them on the bottle, which ones they're using. Yeah. So people can go get this yeast strain or that yeast strain in their single barrel models. I mean, it's very interesting. And of course, they're known in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. Their distillery there is central to the brand's identity. Spirits giant like Gallo buying a major bourbon brand, it signals to the industry, even in these times, that they are going to step up and start looking at the commercial value of the American whiskey. Of course, analysts will be watching whether Gallo maintains the brand's direction or introduces new strategy or initiatives to change the brand. I hope they don't. I'm sitting here right now looking at a bottle of Four Roses, the select model, and it's always a staple in our house.
The small batch was one of the first ones that you really ever fell in love with in your bourbon journey.
Exactly.
It's a
pivotal
spot.
Yeah, it's a pivotal product for you.
So I think there's going to be some caution out there. We're in a time of a bourbon glut. Gallo, I would love to see them take the reins, put some money behind it, and just leave it alone. Just leave it alone.
If it works, it works. Don't fix what's not broken.
So that's our first big story. Major bourbon brand entering a new chapter under Gallo. I'm going to throw this out there. We also like Horse Soldier.
Yeah.
Gallo owns them as well.
And that one's not a bad one.
No, we really enjoy their products a lot.
Yep. My next story, this one is on consumer behavior. Why 2/3 of whiskey shoppers don't buy a bottle when they go into the store. That's a big number.
Interesting.
Only 1 in 3 walks into a liquor store and comes out with a bottle?
That depends on what they're buying too, and what time of the year. Because if it's around July 4th for us Americans, it's for easy liquor like vodka or rum.
So is that statistic people in general walking into a liquor store and only 1/3 buying whiskey, or is this people who are whiskey shoppers in general only 1/3 of the time actually purchasing?
It's a great question, and the answer is these would be people who identify as whiskey drinkers or whiskey curious.
So they're browsing.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're checking out who's got what.
So
which is
roughly
fair, because I do that too.
Yeah. Roughly 2/3, like I say, walk away without making a purchase. And it's not about price. It's more about uncertainty. Both of you guys have been in the store because you've told me that you've been in the store.
Yep.
And you're standing next to somebody who just doesn't know what they're doing. They're afraid to buy. You know, Alora, you made the comment earlier when John Angus was on the show. At best, they're telling you that there's vanilla, there's caramel, and there's oak. But most whiskey labels are telling a story about proof, or they're telling a story about this is made in such and such hill or whatever. They're not telling you what's in the bottle.
Right.
So people are confused.
Yeah. I've helped many a sipper in a liquor store. Even while not being employed there, I'll go and visit the people that I've worked with in the past, and somehow I always end up helping one or two customers pick their next bottle from the shelf.
Inevitably, you're asking the question, what do you like?
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
they'll tell you, I like,
This.
Yeah.
spice, I like
Well, it's
softness.
intimidating because you go in, and we've talked about this before too, both in the written form and over the podcast, I'm sure, that if the new whiskey drinker comes into a liquor store and it's a whole wall of product, and
It's daunting.
it's daunting. The labels, some of them are meant to be really eye-catching, some of them are meant to be super subtle and subdued, and then others, the prices, you don't understand why prices are what they are for certain things because the bottle doesn't explain that to you, and there's just too many options for a new whiskey drinker who hasn't done some sort of prep work, which is really sad because you shouldn't have to do prep work.
You shouldn't have to
No.
research.
You shouldn't have to research, but there's so much out there. If you don't know what you're doing, it is terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying.
I'll tell all of you, we've got a website. We have bourbon reviews, whiskey reviews on our website.
From all the price points.
I
Yeah.
have gone into a liquor store and looked at my own website to see what was this one? What did we do with this one? What did we do with that one? It's a tool that helps
Yeah.
me figure out what I'm taking home.
Yeah.
And honestly, I am going to throw in that price is a factor in this because the people who I talk to about this, they know that I drink bourbon. They know that I do. And 9 times out of 10, they will ask me, Laura, what's a good whiskey that I don't have to spend an arm and a leg for?
Yep.
Like, I get that question all of the time.
Yeah.
All of
great
the time.
value ones.
And I have to say, like, Larceny's a good one. Elijah Craig's a real
Yeah,
Craig,
Elijah Craig,
Elijah
small batch
Craig,
is
yeah.
really decent.
And then Evan Williams, those are really, really good.
And
So,
Evan Williams will never break the bank.
yeah.
You know, sometimes, when I grab an Evan Williams, people will look at me.
We were commenting just the other day, Dad and I both had a Knob Creek rye, just their standard rye, and both of us were like, wow, that's really good. We forgot about that little guy. He's really impressive.
yeah, so it doesn't have to be a huge, expensive whiskey, or really any drink in general for it to be any good. I mean, read our reviews if you want to. Use them as a tool. And then if you want to go in with some sort of research done, I know that there's a lot of good YouTube videos that do reactions
Yep.
for this. It's something that we want to do in the
It's
future.
important to note that what I like isn't necessarily what the girls like.
I mean,
So-
you heard how much we disagreed with each other tonight.
So if I were to say, I don't like it, it's not my profile, and Hannah were to say she loves it, you know what? Maybe you align more with me, or maybe you align more with Hannah, and that's important too.
That's why we're doing this.
So in direct response to the problem of what's labeled on the bottle, or what's on the bottle label, there is a Scotch whiskey distillery on the Isle of Jura that is redesigning all of its packaging and emphasizing 3 flavor notes on the outside of their bottles.
that
they're-
could be interesting.
They're focusing on it to let people know, hey, this is what's there. So with whiskey labels focusing on these taste expectations rather than technical disruptors, maybe it's becoming a new trend in how bottles are going to be labeled. I'd like to see a little more communication out there. Let
More
me
transparency.
know. Yeah, it's got vanilla, it's got caramel, it's got oak. But that's...
I'd love to see distilleries publish their mash bills a little bit more. Some of them don't do that. It's, in my opinion, disclosing your mash bill doesn't mean that
You're blowing your secret recipe.
that's
No
not
one's
what
gonna
that is.
have like a whole arm field of corn.
Right, because it's
and
also
grains.
the corn that they choose, it's the yeast they
Yeah.
choose, it's the oak barrels they choose, it's the aging they choose, it's the climate they live in. There's a lot of variables there for this.
Yeah.
Disclosing your mash bill, I think, is a useful tool in order to tell sippers a little bit of what to expect when they pick up a bottle.
If it's
This isn't-
78% corn, it's probably going to be sweet.
Really
Probably.
sugary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if it's 18% rye, it's probably going to have a little bit of pepperness.
And
Yeah.
freshness.
And freshness,
Yeah.
Yeah,
This isn't a story of Plankton and the chum bucket trying to steal the Krabby Patty recipe. Like,
That's not what this is.
No.
We just want to know.
That's funny right there. I don't care who you are. Yeah, we talked about this, and Laura brought it up too, that when John Angus was on the show, too many companies just put the basics.
yeah, it's like boring. Let's move on.
Yep. It's all about transparency. So the data is suggesting that whiskey isn't confusing because it's complex. It's
Communication.
communication. Distillers need to communicate better.
Yeah. Because too many times you have people going in and being fully aware that they're treated themselves as a commodity.
Yep.
And you need to talk to them like people to understand the types of flavor profiles they like, the price points that they're comfortable with, the story they're bringing to the table in order to point them in a direction. And it shouldn't be hard.
No. Now my final story, this is an American spirits investment one, but it's also on the global stage. Discus has secured more than $1 million to promote U.S. distilled spirits around the world. So the U.S. Department of Agriculture Market Access Program has awarded an export promotion grant of just over $1 million to the Distilled Spirits Council of the United States, DISCUS, for 2026. The funding is going to support the global mission of promoting American spirits, including bourbon, rye, and all the other categories, into the international markets.
Now 1 million goes quick.
Yeah.
That's like a penny.
Yeah,
kind of.
nothing.
But
it's
it's not
something.
a gimmicky marketing project. It's a U.S. government-supported investment. The USDA funded program is intended to help distillers navigate the challenging trade conditions to expand overseas. Discus plans an array of export promotions, probably at small trade events, pavilions and such. Since the program focuses attention on American whiskey and spirits, it's going to have some growth potential. Discus has been a big promoter of American spirits, and we've probably talked about Discus till we're blue in the face, but so far they've contributed to nearly a 190% growth in American spirit exports worldwide. So it isn't a $1 million grant that's just in dollars on paper. It's strategic to support the American distillers. All right, folks, it's time for our new bottles for your next scavenger hunt. I've picked out a couple of interesting release stories. First up, a higher octane twist on a bottle we reviewed back in Series 3, Traveler Whiskey.
Right.
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember that one. It's
I don't
Chris
remember.
Stapleton's.
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't remember what I thought of that.
I thought that it could have used more proof.
Yep.
I do recall that much.
That's why
Okay.
Thinking that it needed a little bit more oomph to get anywhere.
Yep. So Chris Stapleton's Traveler Whiskey is turning up the ABV. You may recall the vital stats were a little sketchy on that one when we covered the original. even its press release didn't tell us much other than it was made in undisclosed Sazerac distilleries. It was truly a blend. So mixing
There's a
things.
blend.
Yep, there's a blend.
There's a blend. We found one.
The original Traveler whiskey was a stab at blending with a big name attached, Chris Stapleton.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
we like him.
Yeah.
We do like Chris Stapleton. We enjoy his music, and we listen to it pretty often when we're having whiskey, actually.
The new release is called Traveler Full Proof, and it's bottled at 121 proof.
That enough of a jump in ABV for you?
Yeah.
We'll see.
What was it? 90,
I actually think it might have been
93?
closer to 80.
We'll have to look that up. And again, it's a collaboration between Chris Stapleton and Harlan Wheatley, the master distiller at Buffalo Trace Distillery. The original leaned towards approachability. This new expression is clearly bold. Here's a little bit of important labeling distinction. Full proof in Buffalo Trace language does not mean barrel strength. It means the whiskey was bottled at the same proof it entered the barrel. So it's been cut down to 121. That's consistent with how Sazerac uses the term on bottles like Weller Full Proof. Goes in at 114, comes out into the bottle at 114. And the 1792 Full Proof goes in at 125 and comes into the bottle at 125. So no, this bottle isn't mislabeled. It's just a stylistic decision, not an accident of evaporation. Higher proof twist brings more pronounced aromas and flavors. The distillery notes say that it's dark and spicy with oak. Cinnamon, mint, orange zest, dark chocolate, white and black pepper. On the palate, robust barrel and baking spice notes with a pronounced leather and tobacco and some dried floral flavors. Finish, while somewhat drying, a light effervescence on the tip of the tongue, with some spice that builds and then fades away. The sip ends in a sugar-free cherry lozenge.
Oh my God, you're special.
I don't know about that.
You're specifying that it's sugar-free
Yes.
cherry lozenge. What are we on?
That's
Martha
more-
Stewart?
Yes.
Like, what is this?
That's
Just
more of a
tell me
specific-
that it's cherry. A
Yeah.
cherry hard candy.
You could even just say medicinal cherry.
That
Yep.
would be totally fine.
Yep.
We don't
Like-
know what you're talking about.
I mean,
What do you mean sugar-free? Oh, I'm riled up.
Can you
well,
tell
the
that?
thing is like, I know I can be specific. I mean, today I said cinnamon.
Sugar-free cherry. Oh my gosh. I am.
Flip the table, Hannah.
That makes me mad. That just makes me mad.
Medicinal cherry for those people who don't like the sugar-free cherry.
There you go.
No.
There you go. So you can tell the girls and I, we kind of poo-poo on what the distillers say.
But now, that being said, feel free to disclose those flavor notes on your packaging because, yeah, if you want less confusion on a
Well,
bottle.
I can tell you
like,
straight
okay.
up right now, we do not have sugar-free cherry on our
Okay,
flavor wheel.
but I'm
No,
just
we don't.
It's
saying,
not gonna go on the flavor wheel.
feel free to do it, but just don't push it. Like, go beyond your vanilla, oak, and caramel.
There you go.
Go beyond that. That should be your
And
bare
maybe say
minimum, but don't be
cherry.
don't be so specific that you're going to compare. Who likes the flavor of a lozenge? Genuinely.
I'm feeling triggered, like actually upset.
You don't want to, like, I mean, yes, we do
Oh,
sometimes
shoot.
drink whiskey when we're sick because it does clear the throat. That being said, though, it's not like we really want to have the taste of a medicine in our whiskey.
Yeah.
Like, we know it was used for medicinal purposes. We don't want to be told that.
Yeah.
Sugar-free cherry.
Oh my God.
The audacity.
All right. So this
You
next
better
story.
continue before you trigger her further.
Yeah, this next story I threw in here because we do enjoy a good American single malt from time to time. And I saw this story, and I when I pulled it up, I said, "Oh, this one's got to go here." This U.S. distillery just won Best American Single Malt at the World Whiskey Awards.
Wow.
The distillery, taking the Best American Single Malt honors this year was Virginia Distilling Company.
And
Okay,
we drink
yeah.
a lot of
We
their products.
love their stuff.
I'm
We-
even impressed with Virginia.
Yep.
I have them at least 2 or 3 times a week. I really, really enjoy a Virginia Distillery American Single Malt.
Now, if you're not familiar with them, they have their Courage and Conviction line.
That one's really good.
And then they also have their own Virginia Distilling Company line. And they're really good at collaborating with breweries. And they finish with sherry. They finish with all kinds of stuff.
It's something we could maybe explore a little more next season.
Maybe we
because
should.
we drink a lot of their line
Yeah.
on a regular basis, or at
It's
least I
spoilers,
do.
isn't it?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Maybe
I'm just
so.
throwing out ideas.
So Blue Ridge Toasted Barrel Finish Whiskey was given the Best American Single Malt Award. Category, it's a finished American single malt out of Lovingston, Virginia, Distillery, Virginia Distilling Company. 100% malted barley. Initially it was matured in first fill bourbon barrels and then finished in toasted Appalachian oak barrels.
Okay.
It doesn't have an age statement, although they say on their website all of them are aged at least 4 years. ABV on this guy, 46.5% or 93 proof. This bottle reflects both American single malt craftsmanship and a distinct sense of place. They like to partner with their people around. This has got Appalachian wood influence. So,
Could be human.
terroir.
Yep.
Terroir.
Yeah.
Distiller notes, there are no sugar-free cherry notes here. Nose, caramel, lemon peel, and alfalfa grass.
I've gotten alfalfa grass in a whiskey before. It's not that big of a deal.
Okay, I'll let it go.
Okay.
Let it go.
Palate.
It's not that I've referenced alfalfa glass. Like
Yeah,
I have.
I think I have too.
All right.
it's only because I
Palate
brought it up. I
is
used to work at a
viscous.
store with it.
And creamy. Viscous and creamy. Grilled peaches with some honey and poached pear. I think that's kind of pushing it. Poached pears.
I
Well,
mean, I did talk about like spiced,
Yeah,
cheap
yeah.
apple
There-
Don't
there you
go
pie.
lossage.
So or sugar
Some
free.
candied
God.
grapefruit peel. Toasted oak spices, melted ice cream.
Okay.
Burnt cinnamon, buttery caramel, and leather. And on the finish, it's warm with a sweet finish with that caramel and a pop of lemon.
Melted ice cream.
Yep.
So, be bold with your flavor pickings, but don't be stuck up.
So
This
we
is
have a
essentially
bottle
what we
of that, and it's inexpensive. $34.95
Not bad.
here in Idaho. It's well worth the pickup. I've had it, as like Hannah says, we have a lot of their stuff, and I had a sip of that. Wednesday, Thursday this past week. So, along with the award, Virginia Distilling Company is moving quickly into its next round of releases. They are putting out a lot of products. They've got 2 new Brewers Coalition bottlings, each finished in stout barrels, and then a new cigar pairing American single malt.
It is a really common practice for
Yep.
people to do. None of us dabble with cigars. My lungs are very sensitive. I would not be able to partake in an event such as that. My lungs are very, very sensitive.
So their newest Brewers Coalition release comes in partnership with Four Hands Brewing Company out of St. Louis, Missouri. Virginia Distillery is finishing their American single malt in Madagascar stout barrels. I think Madagascar is known for its vanilla.
Yes, it
It
is.
is. Yep.
And if they're making a stout beer, probably has some vanilla. That
Sound quite nice.
does sound nice.
Yeah.
It's being bottled at 100 proof.
Nice.
Okay.
And right here, March 2026, their other Brewers Coalition release is in partnership with North Coast Brewing Company. Barrels from its old Rasputin Russian Imperial Stout beer.
Rah, rah, Rasputin.
We'll get copyrighted.
That one's bottled also at 100 proof. And then their cigar blend A new American single malt created with a cigar pairing in mind is bottled at 108 proof. Like all the others, this whiskey is 100% malt barley. It's aged a minimum of 7 years in a wide mix of casks, so they're blending as well. Spanish oak, sherry, port, Chateau Palmer, Cabernet, Armagnac, Cognac, and Fino. In addition, there's a small influence from Islay because they're putting this in Islay casks to add a touch of smoke.
Which probably kind of pairs with the cigar. Okay, I see where you're going.
So if you can, find those and let us know what you think.
Yeah. And these are just a few of the latest releases we think are worth your scavenger hunt. We wouldn't put these out there if we didn't think that they were. As always, we receive no compensation for the whiskeys or products that we discuss. To learn more about these and many more offerings, go to our Whiskey for the Ages episode archive on our website. There you'll find links to all of our episodes, corresponding news pages, and of course citations for the reporting news sources and music.
That's a wrap on our Series 5 finale.
Wow.
That's really crazy. The listeners' picks, they're some of my favorite episodes to do because it really allows us to feel more connected to you guys, our listeners, and we get to dip into our bunker for something fun too. And they really remind us that it isn't just our table, it's your guys' too. And you get to sit at it with us and hear what we think about the things that you want to know about.
Absolutely. You get to enjoy the pour with us. And that's what makes the conversations better. We're not just reviewing whiskey, we're exploring it together. And you guys could have completely different thoughts from all of us and it would still be okay.
Whiskey is a personal experience that it gets shared with others. You know, when we started this podcast, it was, I don't want to call it a hobby, but it was kind of a fun thing for us to do together. Father and daughters. Somewhere along the way, it's become so much more. It's a way for us to share.
Yeah.
People ask me all the time how it's going, or I'll tell them about this that we're doing, and they always are amazed I'm getting to do it with my girls. So, as we're closing this chapter, Series 6 is already taking shape. Hannah's throwing it out there. Maybe we should be looking at Virginia Distilling.
Maybe, or at least the single malt category a little bit more.
Yeah.
We haven't played as much with that yet. But we have more reviews coming, of course.
And of course, we got our distillery and whiskey spotlights. Maybe it is going to be Virginia. We don't know.
Yeah. Another archaeology episode.
Of course. And then we also have some whiskey history.
Pairing suggestions and possibly another guest or two. That could be fun.
And of course, there's always going to be some surprises.
And if you really value what we're building here, I know I certainly do.
Subscribe whenever you listen to us.
Subscribing ensures you never miss an episode, and it helps others find us as well.
If you've already subscribed, thank you guys so much. Your support really matters. And if you have your own opinions about what we're drinking, or you want us to go into a certain direction with our reviews and just conversations about whiskey in general, feel free to reach out.
And we're so grateful you spend your time with us around our table, one bottle at a time.
So until next time,
Cheers, everybody.
cheers, everybody.
Cheers.